progress in AI is absolutely incredible. As a matter of fact, I think that next year, 2024, is officially the year where we no longer will know whether something is real or AI generated or AI assisted. I mean, this was Mid-Journey a year ago, and that's that same prompt today. So I posted this video last week, which is picking up steam across all platforms. And as I was making this video, I was thinking to myself, 9 months ago, this video wasn't even possible for me to make. So I'm gonna play you the video, and then after I play the video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how I made it, the 6 tools that I used to put this video together. And again, keep in mind, a few nights ago, I made this video in 3 hours. 9 months ago, it wasn't even possible. So let's go ahead, play the video, and then show you how to do it. How do we know what's real anymore? Is this even me or somebody else? Maybe it's just my AI clone.
Is this even my real voice?
Ich spreche alle Sprachen. I can transform myself into whatever I want. I can even relight this scene without changing anything. Speaking of this scene, who knows where I even am really? And by next year, all of this is gonna be a simple one-tap process available to everybody.
Just in time for the 2024 US election, which of course will be a
calm and
civil affair.
No drama whatsoever. So the question is, are we ready for next year? All right, again, I think 24 is gonna be a very consequential year geopolitically, and people are going to be falling for the craziest things because AI is going to get unbelievably good. So at the beginning of the year, I started making content around generative AI and kind of documenting the progress, because I do think that knowledge is power, and it's important to educate people on what's happening so that I think we can be equipped and prepare for the madness that'll ensue. Anyways, I didn't mean to go off on a little monologue there. I want to show you exactly how I made this video. There was a lot of things going on here, right? So automatic language translation and lip dubbing, which I think is incredible. That's HeyGen. We're going to get to that next. And then I'm going to show you how I did the face swapping with FaceFusion, how I did the animation transformation with Kaiber, how I used DaVinci Resolve's Relight feature, how I used Photoshop Generative Fill, and how I used RVC V2 to change my voice into celebrity voices. That's next. All the timestamps are below. All the information you need is below. And let's get into it. All right, guys, so let's go over how I spoke German in that video. Okay, so the first step is HeyGen. It's HeyGen.com. It's this website right here. And what you want to do is when you get to the website, probably have to create an account in order to access this. And you go down here to labs and you choose video translate. Now, the first one is going to be free. It costs 1 credit to translate a video into whatever language you want. Here are the languages that they have. I chose German just because I thought, why not? I wanted to see how I sounded in it. So all you need to do is literally upload your video. How do we know what's real anymore? This was my raw video without any audio, any effects, anything like that. I already had some of the other stuff going on, which I'm going to show you later in this video. But literally all you have to do is drag to upload the video. Choose the target language. It's powered by 11 Labs. So if you want to go to Portuguese, you hit Portuguese and then you hit translate video. And that's it. It didn't take a long time to render. Here are some examples. This is me speaking Hindi.
हम कैसे जानते हैं कि अब क्या वास्तविक है? क्या यह मैं हूं या कोई और? शायद यह मेरा AI clone हो.
As you can see, it's incredible because my lips are synced to really sell the effect. So now you're able to create a piece of content in whatever language you speak and automatically translate it into dozens of different languages. I think that is a massive opportunity. If you're watching this video, I think you're early. So leverage this. Let's go on to the next tool. The next tool I want to show you is Kaiber.ai. If you notice in this video, there is a part where I transform myself into this anime character. Let's watch it. I can transform myself into whatever I want. So let me show you the way that I did it, right? There's a couple tools in the market that you can do this with. My favorite is actually this one. It's Kaiber. And again, this isn't sponsored. And I should mention, none of the tools in this video are sponsored. I wasn't being paid to make this video. So I actually truly just think that all the tools that I'm using are best in class at what they do. Kaiber is really easy to use. You can actually choose flipbook or motion. You can also just begin with an image, but here's the way that I love doing it. I choose flipbook and then I go to transform an existing video. Here's the video that I want to transform. I can transform myself into whatever I want. So what I did here, I exported this clip of this video. I brought it into transform image, and then I go to continue to prompt. And here they have like a lot of really dope collections that are curated if you need to brainstorm some ideas. They also have a way to autofill a prompt subject. So they try to detect what's in your video and they autofill it for you. And here's what they come up with. But the prompt that I used was this. I said, I want to create a video of a superhero villain in the style of Studio Ghibli anime. And then all I have to do, select my video settings. You can choose between a lower number, which is more stable, and a larger number, which is more wild. So basically, one will be a little more predictable and will keep to your prompt as well as possible. And 10 will give the system a little more flexibility. So I just chose 6. And then the cool thing about this software is that you can generate previews. So before you go into like the long rendering process, which at times can take, several minutes, especially if you're going to upload a video that are several minutes long, it may even take, it'll take a long time. But the way that you kind of mitigate this is by selecting your favorite preview here, which is really cool. And this shouldn't take too long. So it took about, I don't know, what was that, 15 seconds? And then you can kind of preview the characters and choose between two you like. And then I like this guy. And so if I were recreating this video, I would go ahead and create it, which again, for a 4-second video shouldn't take too long, but it'll still take several minutes. And that's Kaiber. Super dope tool. Go check it out. All right, so the next tool I'm going to show off is Photoshop's Generative Fill. I didn't spend a lot of time on this part, and you're going to notice it is probably the choppiest part of the video. Let's take a look. So you see how I kind of zoomed out of my studio setup and, messed around with the images a little bit. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You guys have seen Generative Fill, but I wanted to show you kind of how I did this. So the first thing I did is took a screenshot of my studio, right? So I went over here to sequence settings. I put like 3200 in there just for that wide angle look. And then I wanted to take a photo, kind of a screenshot of this setting. I go down here to this little camera icon, export frame icon, and I just save that video still on the desktop. I then go into the desktop and I imported it into Adobe Photoshop. And all I really did in the new Photoshop, you got to update if you don't have it. There's this feature called Generative Fill. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here just because there are a trillion tutorials on the internet. But all I did was I'd go in here and, I'd hit Generative Fill and I'd experiment with things like futuristic, modern lab. And so this would give us like, different ceilings. And then I'd do the same for the bottom part of the video. I don't know, let's do futuristic laboratory environment. Okay, cool. So as you can see, Photoshop would just use Generative Fill to kind of just fill it in intelligently without too detailed of a prompt. And I thought it looked pretty good, but again, it's not perfect. You can see there are a lot of imperfections here. So then what I'd do is I'd render this as an image. I'd go back to Premiere, and we're going to get in close here so I can show you exactly what I did. And as you can see, I would just zoom out into the big image that I made, and I switched the ceiling a couple times to kind of sell the effect. But again, like what I did here wasn't that great. I made this entire video in 3 hours. I didn't want to spend an enormous amount of time on this part, but if you really spend your time, you can come up with something pretty spectacular, and that's how I did that part. Photoshop, Generative Fill. All right, guys, next part of the process. How do I change my voice into a celebrity's voice? And this part can be a little bit daunting until you know what it is you're looking for, and then it's pretty easy, and I'm going to explain it to you. So let's preview what I mean here. I changed my voice here into Drake. AI clone.
Is this even my real voice?
So as Drake, and then later on in the video, you'll notice that I changed myself to Trump.
In time for the 2024 U.S. election, which of course will be a
Calm and
Civil affair.
And that was Tate's voice right there. So basically, here's how to do it, right? There's 2 resources you need. The first is RVC V2. There's actually a Hugging Face space for this. That makes it really easy, and this is going to be linked down below. Basically, what you want to do is go to this Discord called AI Hub. All right, this is probably the best resource that I have found when it comes to AI music and AI sound. Again, this is linked below. And then you want to go over here to voice models to find some of these RVC V2 voice models. So as an example, I chose Drake, right? Like you can search this database for Drake, and this is a model that was trained on Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs. And what you want to do is go up here and find the Hugging Face link, and then go to copy link. Go back to RVC V2 in Hugging Face and go to download model, and you want to actually enter the URL to the model here, and we'll name that Drake. Once we do that, we're going to hit download, and it'll take a few seconds to process. Boom. So you'll see here we have success. We go back to the inference tab, and you'll notice we don't have the model here in the drop down. We just want to hit refresh. Once we do that, you'll see the model here down below. So once you select the model, all you have to do is bring in the audio in question. This is the audio that I have. Who knows where I even am really? So this is just me. I rendered the audio from the video. I have it here as a .mp3, and I drag it right into this box right here. And then from there, I'm good to go. I can just convert. Now, optionally, you can change the pitch. I just left it at 0, and I hit convert. You're going to wait a few seconds, and then you'll be able to download your voice rendered as somebody else. And all right, guys, that took 140 seconds, so a little bit over 2 minutes. Another thing I wanted to mention, you can also record your voice directly into this tool. But let's hear how it sounds. This is This is me as Drizzy Drake.
I can transform myself into whatever I want. I can even relight this scene without changing anything. Speaking of this scene,
so that sounded all right, right? I mean, so this is more like if I were rapping, I think it would sound a little better because it was trained on Drake's rapping vocals, if that makes sense. So anyways, guys, this is how you do it. Like whoever you can think of. This database is pretty comprehensive. So if you want to sound like, I don't know, let's see if they have Bad Bunny, right? They got a Bad Bunny model. They got all sorts of things. So this is really useful, especially in music, if you want to make AI assisted music, AI assisted vocals. And that's RVC V2. So the next thing I want to show you is how I relit the scene using AI. So DaVinci Resolve, it's a free program, and their latest update, or one of the latest updates, 18.5, introduced a new feature called Relight. So I dragged the part of the video into DaVinci Resolve. I can even relight this scene without changing anything. So keep in mind, this is not my main editing program. I'm a bit of an amateur when it comes to DaVinci Resolve, although I do want to become an expert. So I'm probably going to, take a few courses, over the next several months and really deep dive into it, because I do want to learn a little bit more about coloring. So in order to access the Relight, let's go to the color tab. And listen, if you want to add a few extra serial nodes, that way you're not editing, destructively on the original node, you can do that. But basically you go up here to effects and you search for Relight, and you can drag it in here to your node. And here we are. You can choose between directional, point source, or spotlight. I'm going to take off the relighting matte preview. And here I can just mess around with the colors, different hues, the gamma wheel, the gain wheels, etc. Definitely experiment with this. This is an incredibly powerful tool, especially if you're a filmmaker. Like finally, the old adage, hey, I'll fix it in post. Now you can fix some things in post instead of going and reshooting with a different lighting setup. So this is pretty dope. Now for the face swapping, I used a program called FaceFusion. And I got to say, this is probably the best program I think is available of its kind. All you need is one driving image to get pretty damn good results. So in this tutorial, I'm not going to go through how to install it on your machine. I do have the steps listed on my newsletter. They also have like a really helpful Discord to walk you through it, but it is pretty complex, probably the hardest step of this entire video. You can install it on Mac OS or Windows. The only thing that you do need though is a pretty high-end GPU, unfortunately. But once you have it installed, I mean, it's as easy as you can imagine, right? You add your video and then you add the source image. I recommend then hitting Face Enhancer, otherwise it's going to be a little bit blurry. And another thing that you can do at the bottom right is just make sure to identify your subject as either male or a female, and then the age group that they belong in for best results. And that's it. And I imported a 6-second video here, and it took about 4 minutes to render, and this is on a 4090. So you can imagine if you're trying to create a much longer video in the minutes and you don't have necessarily a super high-end GPU, I mean, this could take several hours to do. It may even fail in the process. I think you're going to have a little bit of trouble doing it. But if it's a shorter video and you have a higher end GPU, it's not going to be a problem whatsoever. So that's FaceFusion, credible open source software. And all right, guys, that's it for me. Hope you found that helpful. Hope you found it useful. If you did, please subscribe. And I also drop a newsletter every Sunday. You can find it at rpn.biz. It's free. It'll be free forever. And basically all of my best learnings, all of my best ideas, make it to that newsletter first. It's a way to kind of keep you guys updated on how to use emerging tech in your workflows, how to leverage it as a creator, as an entrepreneur. And with that said, catch you in the next video. Peace.